In this video, I will discuss the different features that we're using for this course in Turnitin.com, what those features tell you specifically about the work that you submit, and then how you can use those features to help you improve your papers. Once you've logged into Turnitin.com, you can click on Our Course, and that will take you to a list of essays for the entire course. As an example, I submitted a sample essay under essay number 4. And once you submit an essay, you can see that there's a similarity report created. In this particular sample essay, 64% of what was submitted matches up to other sources found in Turnitin.com. Those sources could be, for example, a student essay that was submitted to Turnitin.com or a website that information matched up with. You can resubmit your paper up to 3 times before the due date, and I encourage you to use this feature so you can see your initial similarity report, and then if you need to make revisions before the final paper is due, you have time to do that. To see the work that you've submitted, please click on the gray button that says View. Once your paper loads, you will see at the top right of the screen the amount of points you received out of the total amounts possible for the assignment. And then there are a list of different icons. I'm first going to click on the feedback summary. And this is where I will leave specific comments about your essay. So always read the comments that I've left for your essay. That's important. And then the next feature is the rubric. So once a rubric loads, you can see where you specifically scored within each area of the rubric. Here, for example, for the thesis, you can see that the score is adequate. So if you would like a breakdown of information, you can scroll down here and read what that means specifically for each category. This is also the same rubric that's linked to each essay assignment. It might be easier to read that way. The next icon with the 0 and the flag shows if there is any hidden text or replaced characters in the paper. For example, if someone were to maybe take something from the internet and copy and paste it into Turnitin.com, that might be revealed using this tool. And then the number below shows, in this case it's 64%, the similarity report or overview match. So you can see here that 50% of the paper was previously submitted in another student paper by a student at Hawaii Community College, and then 13% came from this specific internet source. And if we want more information, we can click on the next icon below and get a breakdown of even more matches within this sample paper. So what I'd like to show you is that sometimes we see, or I see, information that shows up as a match, such as right here where 1 is highlighted and The Sky is Gray, written by Ernest Gaines, that's highlighted. If you have information like that you see highlighted, don't worry about that. Remember, this is a program, and because students, thousands of students are submitting work to this program, it's likely that people have written about this particular short story, The Sky is Gray, so that's going to pop up, and I'm not worried about examples like that. With that said, I also want to scroll down to the Works Cited page and show you that all the entries are highlighted. That just means other students use these same pieces for their Works Cited as well. So naturally they're going to show up as being matches to other papers, and that's fine. What is of concern, however, is if we scroll back up to the top of this paper and we look at example number 2. This entire chunk of pink highlighted text means that this was taken specifically from this website and there is no information showing that this is borrowed information. And we're going to talk in great deal soon about how to show that information has been borrowed from another source and how to set that up properly. Because if you do set that up properly and the information is highlighted, that's okay. But if you don't and you try to pass off information, such as in this example, as being your own without showing where the information came from, that's considered plagiarism. And what I see mostly in essays submitted is what I call patchwork plagiarism, so patches of areas that are borrowed from other places, but a student fails to use quotation marks or an in-text citation to show where that information came from. So if we scroll down again further in the paper, we can see other examples of large chunks of text that were taken from other sources. So that's what we want to avoid. And that's how the similarity report can help you, because maybe you just didn't realize that you forgot to include an in-text citation, so you can go back. And in this example here, we can see quotation marks. So that indicates that we took this quote from somewhere else, and then we have a page reference to show where that quote came from. And really quickly, there's only one example of quoted information here. And this was actually done incorrectly, because if I come down to the Works Cited page, I can't tell which of these two sources that quote came from. And also note that there are two sources, which means that the student would need to have at least two different in-text citation references. So another example like this, where information is indicated that it's been borrowed from a source. As I mentioned, however, later in the course we will talk in detail about how to do this properly. For now, I'll take you down to the other icon that you'll see, which is the grammar spell check feature. It's not the best, so you can take a look at what pops up, but not everything's going to be really accurate. Some of the information is, some of it's not really accurate. It will give you an idea, though, of things that maybe you want to double check, or definitely meet with me and talk about if you have concerns about grammar and mechanics for your writing. This concludes the information that I wanted to cover for Turnitin.com for our course. If you have any questions about using Turnitin.com or any of the features, please let me know. I'm happy to go over them in more detail with you. Thank you.